Hello everyone, my name is Carlos Torres and I welcome you to this week's edition of the Back Nine Report. Every week, my co-host Fred Altvater and I get together and check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. We cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened golf, we have it for you. And I'm going to bring Fred. Now, Fred, what a US Open. We have a lot to talk about this week, and I think we should muscle our way through the show this week.
Yeah. Get the guns up, right? For Bryson. Oh my goodness. You know, fall is definitely in the air up here in northern portion of the United States. Cool nights, perfect 70-degree days. This is the reason we live up here right now, Carlos. I played in a 2-day tournament over the weekend. The weather was absolutely perfect. The leaves are just beginning to turn colors in northern Michigan, giving you another great reason to travel up to the northern Michigan part of the country and play a little golf or just see some leaves. We're going to talk about travel a little bit later in the show, but as you touched on, the top stories this week, Bryson bombs his way to a U.S. Open. Everybody said it was going to be over par at Winged Foot, and he proved them wrong. He could shoot under par. Georgia Hall got her first win in America out in Portland. And golf can kind of take a deep breath and relax. The Masters isn't for another 7 weeks. We just got a bunch of mundane, routine golf stuff going on, Carlos. So we still got a lot of golf to talk about, though. Let's go. Let's get to it.
Okay, let's get right to the muscle of our show today. And, Bryson DeChambeau, we have to say he produced the round of his life to win his maiden gym major title. It was a superb fashion for him at the U.S. Open, right? He came from 2 strokes behind at the start of the day to leave behind playing partner Matthew Wolff at Winged Foot. He carded a final round of 67 to finish as the only man under par for the week, 6 ahead of Matthew Wolff in second. Now, we had talked about it. Winged Foot, it was posing a tough test for the world's best players this past week. But what Bryson managed to do, I mean, he teamed the New York venue with his newly bulked top frame, helping him overpower many of the holes. His 67 was the only round under par on Sunday and did not shoot a single round over par for the 4 days. That's what's amazing. I mean, not only Sunday he played amazing, he played all week. You can say, I mean, and I know you're going to talk about numbers, but 23 of 56 fairways for the week, but he found 46 out of 72 green regulations. He was sensational around the brutally difficult putting surfaces. He's called the golfing scientist, but he bulked up to help his major chances, and he has finished now T4th and first in the 2 majors since the lockdown. Now, once on a day where Winged Foot played 5 shots over its par, DeChambeau was the only player in the entire field to break 70. And he did so from the pressure of the final group to run out to a 6-shot win over Matthew Wolff. The rest really were playing in a separate tournament for 3rd place. That's like night and day what happened there. But it was a performance, and you got to say power and finesse, and control and aggression. One that sucked all the drama from the tournament. Such was the manner in which he pulled apart this fearsome golf course. I still can get my head around how he did it. I mean, seldomly has anyone looked so in control when they ought to be facing stiff questions. Only 4 players in the last half century won the U.S. Open by a greater margin. He's a self-styled scientist who has experimented throughout his career. He now has the validation he is looking for. Earlier this summer, he bullied his way to the Rocket Mortgage Classic, again beating Wolff, but this was proof. His way, this new way produces results. I mean, fewer rounds of 67 have been as meaningful as this one. His physical transformation has been the main talking point since golf's return to action following the lockdown, the coronavirus shutdown. He put on 20 pounds of muscle to become one of the game's biggest hitters. Well, the biggest one, definitely. The experiment has appeared to bear fruit with 3 straight top 10s, following it by a 6th in the PGA Tour title. But the jury was still out whether it would work on the harder courses used for major championships, where thick rough is meant to penalize wayward drives. shot for fourth at the PGA Championship at Harling Park, appeared to prove that, yeah, he can do it. And he removed any lingering doubt with his power pack performance here at Winged Foot. Now, Fred, when they asked him if the wind validated his approach, he didn't hesitate to say 100% no doubt. So, I mean, I'm going to pass it on to you and so you can comment on this, but is this really we are definitely in uncharted waters. We've never seen anything like this. So a lot of the doubt, and I'm going to include myself here among those doubters, I never thought that he would be able to transfer all this to a major championship. Yes, he had been tinkering and all that, and we knew that he was a good player before this, but how was he going to transfer all that to his new bulk approach? It was really, I never expected it, but definitely have to take my hats off to him. It works, and now what's going to come next?
I kind of have to disagree with you just a little bit. We have seen this before. And it goes back, I mean, we can go as recent, it goes farther back, but we can go as recent as John Daly jumping on the scene as the 8th alternate at the PGA out at Crooked Stick and just dominating that golf course with length and hitting wedges into the greens when everybody else was hitting 7-irons and 6-irons. John proved once again that length on the golf course is really, really important if you can keep it inside the boundary, and you got a strength to get it out of the rough. And that I think with Bryson, he doesn't really care. I mean, he's strong enough that he can get it out of that rough. That's what's amazing to me, and still control the ball on the green. And you mentioned that you touched on his putting. He putted magnificently, really, all week. Scores were very good. As you mentioned, he only hit 23 fairways. That's the least like ever almost. Total strokes gained was 7.9, which is the 4th highest. The only one that beat him with it was Johnny Miller with that, insane 61 or whatever he had at Oakmont back in 72 or 4, whenever that was, 75. Arnold had 9.29 one time in 60. He made that big charge on Sunday out at Cherry Hill out in Colorado, and Jack had an 8.9 in 67. So it's a monumental final round. I mean, it's one of the best of all times. This was just the 3rd time, and only the 2nd player for the champion to be the only one to be in red figures. Tiger did it twice in 2000 and again in 2002, and now Bryson did it this year. Everybody else was either even or higher, and Bryson was the only one that could get it under par for the week. Since 1990, here it is, since 1991, nobody has hit fewer fairways than 27, and Bryson only hit 23. So, I mean, he's doing monumental stuff here. And Carlos, I have to say, we were texting back and forth before the coverage really began on Sunday, and I didn't think he had a chance. I just discounted him out. I just didn't think he could do it. And I really thought Matthew Wolff would come back to the field, but I really thought Xander Schauffele, I thought this was his to win. I think he was at even, and I really thought if he could get to -2 or -3, he would win. I really thought that would do it. And so everybody else ended up going backwards over par, and Bryson went under, ended up getting down to 600. That's phenomenal stuff. And now Bryson says he wants to add at least 10 to 15 more pounds, hit it even farther, maybe even use a 48-inch driver at Augusta. My question to you, Carlos, how can anybody beat this guy at Augusta? It's wide open there. He can bang it out there as far as he wants to and just have little wedges into all those greens, even the par 5s. He starts off with about a 3-stroke advantage, right? Does anybody stand a chance right now at Augusta?
I mean, I cannot bet against him. There's absolutely no way after what he has seen, what he has shown, right? I think he's just going to overpower that course, and it's not only that the length that he has, is how he has been able to combine that power with the finesse as well. Because yes, he's strong, and when I mentioned that we have never seen this before, I didn't mean about a player that would overpower. Because yes, you're correct about John Daly. I mean, there's precedents with Tiger, of course, the Tiger proofing of the courses and all that. But what I'm referring is to the way that he did it. Okay, because Rory McIlroy still on his frame, and he's a long hitter, and he employs the same thing. He's trying to hit as far as he can. He has an amazing ability. I'm not taking anything away from that. And it's not only about the length, it's the way that he bulked up, which was the main topic, and what nobody else has done it before. That's what I was referring to, the way that he has bulked up, and he still wants to. I mean, he hadn't even been a major champion for an hour, and he was already asked to shift his focus to the next major championship. Specifically, he was asked, hey, how, your brand of power golf, we had just lifted you to a 6-stroke victory over Matthew Wolff, would play at Augusta National. Then he said, length is going to be a big advantage there. I know that for a fact. I'm going to try and prepare by testing a couple of things with the driver. That's what you said there about his pre-Masters prep will include continuing to experiment with a 48-inch driver shaft. Now, he averaged 336.3 yards off the tee at Winged Foot. And he said, I don't plan to stop right here. I want to see, and I'm quoting him. He says, I'm going to continue to push the boundaries, and I'm going to try to see maybe hit a 360, 370. That's just ridiculous stuff. I mean, why? Now, the question is this, and that's why I keep saying it's uncharted territory, because now, I mean, look at Rory McIlroy's reaction to what they said. I mean, to him, he couldn't fathom seeing somebody hit just 4 of his last 21 fairways to win a U.S. Open, because it's typically about who drives the ball the best, with thick rough tending to lead to hackouts and layups. But DeChambeau did all the opposite. It was like it wasn't even there. So is it really the answer for everybody else moving forward? And those who are now looking at golf and looking, hey, Bryson won the major, he did it that way. Is this the way that everybody should start to do it? Bulking up and trying to be that, because he still wants to be, he's at 230, he wants to be at 245. That's 15 more pounds of muscle. It's like he says it's not, and he left the U.S. Open to go meet with his trainer in Colorado, in Denver. So I don't know. It's really, really difficult to wrap around how things are going to be from now on. How newer players, or those casual players or casual fans that are looking at him, are going to approach now. Okay, so this is what I have to do to get better and win majors. So that's what I think. And to answer your question, I cannot bet against Bryson. I think he's gonna just. I mean, if Dustin Johnson won by 11 not long ago, here I see it more of a question of how big is going to be the margin that he's going to win.
We had Patrick Reed win the 2019 Masters, and that was really an unpopular win. Patrick Reed is not a very popular guy on tour. Bryson DeChambeau probably is just one notch below Patrick Reed on the popularity scale, right? So it's not a popular win, but he is becoming a real curiosity. Guys are just curious. Do I want to dedicate myself to do this? Do I want to take that regimen, add that weight, add that strength? Do I want to work out like that and become like that? But Carlos, you're exactly right. I really think we've seen over the years what a difference length means on a golf course. I see it every time I go out to play. I see these kids banging it out there, 340, 350 yards. It's just amazing to me. These guys hit their wedges 140 yards, 150 yards. It just blows my mind. They hit them sky high. I'm trying to bunt a 3-wood down there, or a 5 hybrid or something, and run it up on the green, and they're throwing wedges in there of dropping them in from the sky. It's not, you can't compete against that. And so these guys that are trying to make money and trying to be the best, they have to up their game. They have to be able to do that to compete. It's not just about outthinking the guy on the golf course. You've got to have the physical body and the strength to do it. Gary Player started this, well, going back, Frank Stranahan started even before that. Gary Player got the idea from Frank Stranahan. And then, over time, guys have become more and more fitness freaks. And the modern day golfer, Tiger took it to a whole nother level. And today the guys are in really good shape. You just don't see overweight guys out on the PGA Tour. Bryson is beginning to look a little overweight, but it's all muscle. When he, once he turns 45 or so, he's going to be a blob. He's going to be a blimp, because all that's just going to sag. You're not going to be able to keep that up. But right now he's got it going on. Rory made a statement. They asked Rory about Bryson. He said, I think it's brilliant, but I think he's taken advantage of where the game is at the minute. Whether that's good or bad, it's just the way it is. With the way he approaches it, with the arm lock putting, with everything, it's just where the game's at right now. I don't know if it's right or wrong. He's just taking advantage of what we have. And that's exactly right. So you can like Bryson DeChambeau, you can not like Bryson DeChambeau, but you have to have a tremendous amount of respect for what he has done over this last year to put himself in a position to do exactly what he has done, Carlos.
Most definitely. And when he says that he has taken advantage of what we have right now, what exactly is he referring to? To me, he left it very broad, right? But it brings to me also another discussion that we've been having for the past few years, and that is, rolling back the ball. This is something that doesn't matter to a guy like Bryson DeChambeau. So it brings another dynamic, because if you're trying to do it, because the normal long hitting guys, you want to equalize it a little bit. Bryson is just taking it on a league of his own right now. He's just way out there the way that he hits it, and because the issue with him is not only his length, like I say, he also has the finesse. He putts well. He was a good iron player. So he's just taking that and enhancing it with the ball that he's doing. So what you think it would bring into the talk about rolling back the ball? Does this affect somehow the talk about it? Or now will we look at equipment? I'm really starting to think, I know we don't like it, but I think there's going to be maybe the bifurcation thing happening instead of just rolling it to everybody.
Here's my question to you, Carlos, on that subject. So Bryson right now, and and Matt Wolff, we have to include Matt Wolff in this discussion, because if you noticed, Matt Wolff was out driving Bryson on some of those holes. So, he's no slouch in the distance category himself, right? So Bryson and say Matt Wolff and maybe Cameron Champ and a couple other guys are so far ahead of some of these other guys right now with this ball. If they get a different ball, won't their swing speed still relate to a longer ball flight? Will the others be drawn up closer to them because of a different ball? I'm not sure that's quite right, because they're already hitting it farther. Why wouldn't they be hitting a different ball farther as well? Now, we've talked about this, and the rumor is that the USGA is going to come out with a ball for the pros that has more spin. And so that will, if you've got any spin on the ball at all, it's going to accentuate hook or slice. It's going to, instead of going maybe like now 15 or 20 yards offline, it's going to go 25 yards offline. And maybe that'll make it out of bounds instead of just in the trees or into the rough. I don't know if that's the answer. I can't get anybody in the golf equipment business to talk to me about that. I know that rumor's out there, and I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen, but I can't get anybody to talk to me about it right now, Carlos. I've been asking, but I haven't found the right person yet. But yeah, I even if they roll back the ball, Bryson is still, Matt Wolf, they're still hitting it farther than everybody else, and they're still going to be, even if we have a different ball. So I don't know that that's necessarily the answer, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do probably. A couple more points about Bryson before we get away from him. You know, with this win, that gives him an NCAA individual title, a U.S. Amateur Championship, and now a U.S. Open. Only a couple guys have ever done that before him, and they're named Jack and Tiger. So, you know, anytime you join a group that has just Jack and Tiger in it, that's pretty special. So you take into account that final round. You take into account what he has done over the last year to get here. You take into account the company that he is joining. It's phenomenal what he accomplished and where he's at right now.
I guess that the last thing that we have right now with him is how long can he keep this going? That's all what I think. And because we've seen it like all these big other athletes, is how can you keep that physique and all that you're doing for a long time? So again, we don't know, because this is the first time we see somebody bulked up that big time and still tinkering with things, and so far it's working. So I'm not going to adopt him anymore, but we'll see. We'll see. And definitely, like you mentioned about the popularity contest, it was funny because I was seeing these memes about Captain America versus the Hulk. When Patrick and him were together and all that. So, but hey, it is what it is. It's because he's different. He doesn't apply to the same things that everybody else do on the golf course. But hey, it works, so we have to start looking up to that. But anyway, talking about the rest of the field, I gotta hand it off to Matthew Wolf. That's my guy among the young guys. He's just 21, and he can keep his head high. I know he had a +5, but hey, that was basically the average on Sunday, and he played well. I mean, he, compared to what everybody else was doing, the only one was Bryson that was out of that, and DJ who went even, and Will Torres, which again, amazing one over as well to finish T6. But I think Matthew showed so far in only 2 majors that he has what it takes. The second place here, another top 10 finish at the PGA Championship at T4. He has what it takes to sometime win a major championship, and I think it's just a matter of when, not an if, for Matthew Wolf. He played really, really well, and it wasn't nerves. I'm looking at him, he wasn't nervous. He was just like a little bit like John Ram. His emotions got the best of him, and he couldn't process well. Again, he's just 21 years old. His first US Open, second major ever. And you are the leader. You're the leader, 54-hole leader, in tough course, tough conditions. It's not easy. It's not easy. So, but Matthew, you did great. And those 266 and 65, 74, 75 was what did you. But he did well. Louis Heisen finished third. Harris English played really well. Sander Schauffele, who we talked about at the beginning on the preview, another great outing for him. We know how big time player he is. DJ and Will Salatoris were there on the tee for 6 plays, and Will earned more money for this than he had in the Corn Ferry Tour. So, and we're going to talk about him in the Corrales Punta Cana pretty soon. JT was there at T8 with Tony Finau, Webb Simpson, and Zach Johnson. Rory as well, which a lot of people were expecting him to try to contend there after his great round that he had of 68 on Saturday. Fortunately, like everybody else, he was out. Lee Westwood, T13, a good outing for him. Another one of the big young guns, Victor Hovland, show he belongs there at T13 for him. Tiger and Phil missed the cut. So, I mean, I think it's something that we didn't really are not surprised, but it really shows I don't know for Tiger, Fred, what's next for him. I think this is a throwaway year, and I think he might be looking, even with the Masters 7 weeks out, almost 2 months. I don't see him as a factor the rest of the year. Uh, I don't even know if he's going to play before that. He should, because he usually likes to do something to get up there. But I just don't feel. I have this feeling that, and you know, I've been defending Tiger even when he was really, really down. But this time I feel like it's very different for him. Uh, I'm starting to feel that he's just not going to be at the same level as before, Fred.
I don't think he can compete on this kind of a golf course. I think he was afraid of taking too big of a cut in that rough. You know, he could have really hurt himself taking a big swing out of that rough. When I watched him play on Thursday, he was really swinging easy. He was not taking real hard swings at the golf ball. Now, maybe he was trying to pace himself for the week. I don't know. But I think that back is really an issue for him. I think he's really afraid of it still. I do look for him to maybe be a factor at Augusta, though, Carlos. He can play that golf course, you know, with blindfolds on. So, you know, in the dark. I think he'll be okay there. I just don't think he's played enough this year to be in tournament shape. What happens is when you don't play tournament golf week in and week out, you lose that little bit of an edge. And so you try too hard. Every putt becomes too important. Every chip shot becomes too important. Instead of just another shot, you know, in a whole bunch of rounds, it becomes, every shot becomes important. And he hasn't played enough tournament golf to be tournament ready. And so it's just that, it's a real fine line. I just don't think he played enough golf this year. And he's going to have to play maybe a little bit more leading up to these major championships to be ready. The way he's doing it right now, I know he's trying to save his back and his knees, but I think he's got to play just a little bit more in these run-ups to these major tournaments. That being said, he can still compete at the Masters, but some of these other, and he can still compete at the Open Championship because that requires shot making. He can still do that. He can probably still compete at the PGA Championship because that's usually a little bit easier golf course. But in the U.S. Open, the way they set those up, I just don't think that's in his wheelhouse right now. You mentioned Tiger and Phil missed a cut. 29% of the money that was bet on the U.S. Open, 29% was bet on Phil. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? That stat blew my mind.
I didn't know he bet so much on himself. I didn't know he bet.
That blew my mind when I saw that stat. You talked about Will Zalatoris. They got to give this guy they got to give him a bunch of starts on the PGA Tour. He has earned it. I mean, he's torn up the Korn Ferry Tour. He's competing at the highest level on the PGA Tour. Davis Riley, same thing. These guys need to have PGA Tour cards. I know they're said they're not going to give them to him, but I'll bet they're working behind the scenes to make sure they get a bunch of starts. What else did I want to say? Oh, Winged Foot wasn't quite as tough as advertised, but again, Bryson was the only guy that ended up under par. So it was tough enough. You know, we said last week we thought maybe the pro there said 8 over. Well, we knew that wasn't going to happen, but we thought maybe, you know, between you and I and Kieran, we thought maybe 3 or 4 or 5 over. Well, Bryson proved us wrong on that, you know, 6 under, so good for him. Gary Woodland is playing injured. He's got a torn labrum, so he's trying to play through that. Then I guess the only other thing I wanted to make mention of here, Carlos, was before we get away from us, was Danny Lee's meltdown with the 6 putt from 4 feet. That was not a good look.
Now, I just urge anybody to go to Twitter and search for Scooter McGavin's post on it, the extended version of Danny Lee. And I'm not going to ruin it, spoil it for you. You're going to laugh about it. I mean, that's all you can do. I know that Danny today came out, you know, apologizing for that outburst. I think he lost it after the second one, because the third one was the one that he did like, I don't care about it. And he rolled it past, and then he was just trying to get it in. But he has to be better than that. He wasn't. He was doing fine. If you consider all things considered, the score that he was having wasn't that bad at that time, considering everybody else. But I think he learned, and we got a good laugh about it. So, anyway, anything else you want to go before we talk about Georgia Hall, who, she owns a major title, but until Sunday, she had never logged an LPGA victory on the U.S. soil. So, anything you want to add before we move to that?
No, ready for the LPGA. I think we pretty much covered everything on the U.S. Open. That pretty much gets it A to Z, Carlos, right there.
Hey, we do it wall to wall, top to bottom, massive previews and recaps of any major championship. But now, the 24-year-old Georgia Hall can finally check off her list a win in U.S. soil because she prevailed in a playoff against Ashley Buhai at the Cambia Portland Classic. Hall turned in the final round of 68, but with bogey on her final hole, she fell to 12 under and then into a playoff with Buhai, who was looking for her first career LPGA title. They went to 2 extra holes at the Columbia Edgewater Country Club before Buhai was eliminated when she did a bogey on the par 4 first hole. You might remember Georgia Hall won the Women's British Open at Royal Lytham in St. Anne's. That was 2 years ago in 2018 to become the first English major champion since Karen Stopples in 2004. Now in 2019, she was appointed a member of the Order of the British Empire, part of the Queen's birthday honors. She has worked hard on her chip, and particularly coming into this event because she finished second 2 years ago on a course that she thinks, hey, this suits my game. I can play here. But she didn't want that to happen again, okay? After winning her major title in August of 2018, she didn't win another major event again until this week. She won 2 one-day Rose Lady Series events in July. But before this event, she was ranked number 55 in the Rolex rankings. This victory gave her a rankings bump, as well as, you can say, maybe a confidence bump. That's what she needs as well. She said after the tournament, she wasn't sure she properly enjoyed her Women's British Open victory, but she said, hey, I'm going to have a week free now, so I won't make that mistake this time. I'm going to make sure I enjoy it enough. So a good win for Georgia, a great young player on the LPGA Tour.
Yeah, great to see Georgia Hall win here in America. She's a really, really good player. After she won the British Open, the Women's British Open, we kind of expected her to maybe be one of those players that would be up there at the top of the leaderboard week in and week out. And she's been a good player, but just not the kind quite as good as we thought she would be. So maybe this will get her over the hump, and she'll become, she'll join the Brooke Hendersons and the Lexi Thompsons and, the Jin Young Ko's of the world. So, because she's got that kind of game. She's unflappable. I love her game. I love to watch her play. Inbee Park, Carlos, this is your girl right here. She's number 2 in the race to Dubai. She's having another strong year, another top 5 finish at Portland. Inbee just keeps chugging along. I thought she retired or something, but she's still playing. She's still dominating. Danielle Kang continued her good play, T12. Number 3 in the world now behind Jin Young Ko and Nelly Korda. Brooke Henderson moved up to number 4 in the world, followed by Minjee Lee. In her first event as a full LPGA Tour member, Sophia Popov, the winner of this year's Women's British Open, finished T24. Defending champ Hannah Green started strong with 66-68, actually held the lead after the first round. Skied to a 73 on Sunday, fall outside the top 10. Gabby Lopez had 2 rounds of 67-69, faltered on Sunday with 75, dropped to T28. 60-year-old Julie Inkster, let's hear it for the old guys, right? Made the cut, T70. Julie still out there competing with the girls, giving them a pretty good game. Missed the cut, Stacey Lewis, Cheyenne Woods, Christy Kerr. We haven't heard anything out of Christy Kerr lately. She's not had a very good year. She might be at the end of her career, not sure about that. Aria Jutanagarn, Sun Young Park, missed the cut. There's only 6 events remaining on the LPGA Tour schedule to earn a spot in the season-ending CME Group Championship, Carlos. So everything's going to start winding down here a little bit. But good to see the ladies out there playing. They got a break now. They're not playing for a couple weeks now again.
Yeah. So just a closing thought. It's not a rant, but it might sound like it. An English woman won for the first time in America at the weekend, and there was no sign of any coverage on UK TV. I mean, this is, again, it's not a rant. It's not a pop at Sky or
Wow.
England Golf. They do a fantastic job with their
Somebody
women's
call
golf
Carrion.
coverage.
Get Carrion on the case over there. What's going on?
Yeah, they Sky and England Golf, they do a fantastic job with their women's golf coverage, and they promote the women's game in England. But, there are plenty of other channels that could be showing women's golf who currently are not doing it. Golf is bursting at the seams in England. We have talked about this at the moment, and with the game thriving post lockdown, as more than 20,000 people have joined golf clubs in England since May. I mean, those figures are likely very similar across the rest of the UK. So that's why it seems like such a missed opportunity that Georgia Hall's stunning victory on the LPGA Tour was completely forgotten about on UK TV. I know that was, before you actually did the schedule and all this stuff, but man, there's still so far to go, and coverage on TV plays a huge factor. And we're always talking about, hey, anything that they can do. And again, I know England Golf and Sky do a great job promoting the women's golf, but hey, let's start to think a little bit more about these missed opportunities and not let them go. Now, talking about the European Tour, Garrick Higgo, he said it feels awesome when he secured his first European Tour victory at the Open de Portugal. He's a 21-year-old from South Africa. He struck a bogey-free 7-under par final round of 65, finished the weekend 19 under par, was able to hold Pep Angles to claim a maiden victory. The English duo of Nathan Kimsey and Andrew Wilson had held a share of the lead when they play enter on Sunday and Saturday, but with the pair eventually finished joint 18th and tied for third, respectfully. Now, Wilson also finished the day with 6 under and finished the week at 15 under par in a tie for third with the red-hot George Coetzee. Jonathan Thompson and Jordan Risdale also completed the top 10 in 7th and 9 with 13 and 12 under. Thompson, by the way, equaled the lowest round of the day with a bogey-free 64 to finish at 8 under par from the 18 holes for him.
Yeah, the big news here is a South African won this week, but it wasn't George Coetzee, right? I haven't heard you talk about this guy. You got to be talking about this guy, Garrick Higgo. Never heard of him before. 21-year-old from South Africa, played collegiately for a couple of years at UNLV, turned pro last year, and he won on the Challenge Tour. This was his 7th European Tour start, and he gets a win. He turned pro after his sophomore season at UNLV. He won twice on the Sunshine Tour. Already, he won last year and also in February of this year on the Sunshine Tour. So, he's a good young guy. We got to watch out for this guy. We may be seeing him in some bigger stuff, Carlos.
Yeah, he's flying under the radar and so low I didn't even see him. But hey,
Really disappointed in you, Carlos. You missed a young guy. Really disappointed in you here.
I'm losing it. Hey, let's talk about Jim Furyk. He's racking up PGA Tour champion wins. I mean, 50-year-old, he made his debut on the Over 50 Tour back in August, and he won the Ally Challenge. On Sunday, he earned his second win as many starts. He claimed the title at the PR Insurance Championship, 12 under after one-hole playoff against Jerry Kelly at Pebble Beach. He's a 17-time winner on the PGA Tour, including the 2003 U.S. Open. Won the tournament with a birdie on the first playoff hole, the par 5 18. So, Kelly made par. Everything else finished third at 11 under, followed by Mike Weir and Retief Goosen, T4 at 9 under. Fred, watch out, Hale Airwin at this winning rate in 4 to 5 years. I mean, depending on how often Furyk plays, he'll blow past Hale. I mean, 242 is the highest winning percentage in golf history.
Let's see. He started in 2 events on the Champions Tour, and he's won 2 events on the Champions Tour. He's made $630,000 so far in 2 events. He's now up to 8th on the Charles Schwab Cup after 2 events played. With only 3 events remaining, can he catch Langer with about $1 million and Ernie with 990,000? Probably not. He'd have to win 2 of these 3 events to get close. So you're telling me he's only 43 behind Hale Irwin now, right? He's won 2 and he's only 43 back. So, it's doable. Kelly fired a final round 65. Nice round for him to get to 12 under. He played a few groups ahead of Furyk. He tried, but he couldn't quite get it done in the playoff. Els went out fast with a 65 on Friday. Pair of 70s on the weekend left him 1 short of the playoff with Kelly and Furyk. Mike Weir, there's a name. Mike Weir, the Canadian, tied for T4 with Retief Goose. And man, we haven't talked about Mike Weir in a positive light for a long time. Good for him. And there again, the Champions Tour is now, they're off until October the 9th. So this was a little different deal. Supposed to be playing with the first T kids because of COVID. A lot of that was changed. So, but it's still Pebble Beach and it's still golf out there. It's all good stuff, Carlos.
It is. And the other tournament that we can talk about, and it's not a tournament, it's a competition. It was the Paynes Valley where JT and Tiger were playing against Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy. That was happening as we started the show. So we haven't been able to see and get you some more information. Have you seen anything about it so far that we can report on?
No, I messed up. I should have watched a little bit before we came on air. I didn't, and I was looking around trying to find some scores, but I didn't see them. So, yeah, it's a 2-man deal, kind of a U.S. against Europe kind of thing, a Ryder Cup kind of thing. They're playing foursomes, 4 balls, and individuals. Tiger and Rory and Rose and Justin Thomas. So it's really to promote the opening of Paynes Valley, Tiger's new golf course there at Branson, which is his first public golf course. And I know I've told you folks before about Branson. It's fabulous, fabulous, fabulous down there. And this just adds another gem to the crown. This Paynes Valley, it's a beautiful golf course. I've seen part of it as they were building it, and it's going to be pretty cool. So they're re-airing it from 8 o'clock till 12 o'clock tonight. If you want to try and catch it, get on TV.
All right, with that, we wrap up our weekend backspin or our recap of this weekend, past weekend's action. Now let's talk about the forecall. What's going to happen this weekend? And we have action in the PGA Tour in one of my favorite places to see. It's our brothers. I'm from Puerto Rico. Our brothers from Dominican Republic have this tournament. It's time right now for the up-and-coming players to shine in a PGA Tour event, rapidly rising in status because the Corales Punta Cana Championship tees off this Thursday at the Punta Cana Resort and Club in the Dominican Republic. The PGA Tour makes its first stop at the Corales Golf Club in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, coming off the heels of the U.S. Open and Bryson DeChambeau's impressive victory. Now, that means there's going to be a weak field in attendance. The world's top golfers are preparing for the Masters in 2 months' time, and of course, they're picking and choosing where they're going to go. That's not this place. I've been, like I said, I've been to the Corales Golf Club. That golf course was built in 2010. It's a par 72. It measures 7,666 yards. It's long, and it has paspalum greens. The course has relatively open fairways. Its main defense really is because it rolls along the coast. So that wind, that coastal wind that comes in is really the big thing that you have to worry about. And no wonder why a player like GMAC won it last year. The score the last 2 years to win it has been 18 under. So it's been tamed pretty much. And he'll be one of the players that you have to look for. Henrik Stenson is another veteran that's looking to round into form, looking forward to the new year, and he's going to be there. So look out for him. So are the Canadians, Corey Connors and Mackenzie Hughes. They're playing really well. But I'm going to keep pounding the name of Will Zalatoris and making my guy to be here. I've been pounding him in the Corn Ferry Tour, and he played really, really well in the U.S. Open. And, because of the rescheduling, this event has been elevated to full FedEx Cup point event status, with the winner earning an invitation to next year's Masters at Augusta National, not this one's. So, Fred, I am sure that he, Will Torres, along with other rising players that are not already invited, are gunning for the win and the invitation. And of course, that would mean for Will to stay on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I think that's probably the only way Will's going to get to be on the PGA Tour is if he's going to have to win one of these events in the fall series here, or he could actually earn enough money that he could get special temporary exemption, right, and play on sponsors exemption. So that's a possibility as well. So yeah, you pretty much named the names that you want to watch for this week. Will Zalatoris. He's had 11 straight top 20s on the Corn Ferry Tour, and then he just had a T6 in the U.S. Open. So he's playing really at a high level right now. Mackenzie Hughes, we've seen him play well over the last month or so. Corey Connors, Peter Uline's also in this field and really needs a good event. So you got some names here to watch, but it is kind of a second-tier event. It's not really a Corn Ferry Tour event, but it's sure not a full PGA Tour event either. It's somewhere in between there. But it gives these guys a chance that are younger guys that are coming up to really make a name or to get a win or a big check. So should be a fun watch. And like you say, Carlos, it's always a great golf course down there. Dominican Republic, it's a pretty nice place.
Definitely. And hey, the European Tour is going to travel to another nice place, and that is Northern Ireland this week as Galgorm Castle Golf Club welcomes the Irish Open for the first time. Only two players, fan favorite Shane Lowry and Thai youngster, right? Yes, yet Jane Watananon will feature from the world's top 65 players as the event feels, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The defending champion would have been John Ram, but he decided not to leave the U.S. to defend his title, so there will be a new champion this week. The Galgorm Parkland layout is bordered by two rivers at each side. So they come into play on numerous holes, and they feature also 5 lakes. So it's imperative for those players that are going to be there to be accurate. Now, Irishman Shane Lowry, of course, is going to be the hometown favorite. He won this event 11 years ago at the Call Out Golf Club to claim his maiden European Tour title. It was his first win. Currently, he's ranked number 30. He's still the reigning champion golfer of the year because the Open was not played this year, but he hasn't been playing his best golf of late. However, missing 2 consecutive cuts on the PGA Tour prior to his 43rd finish at Wingfoot last week, he definitely enjoys his National Open. He has never missed it since he won his debut back in 2009, so he's going to be there, and that's maybe the big-time player to look along with Jazz. So Fred, the 33-year-old's best finish outside his victory in 2013 when he shared 5th place at the Carlton House Golf Club. So how about this tournament in Ireland?
Yeah, the European Tour leaves Portugal, heads over to Ireland. This event was supposed to be played back in May, at the end of May, but was postponed on March 30th because of the COVID. And it's going to be played in Northern Ireland. It played host to the European Challenge, the Northern Ireland Open a few weeks ago. So this course is tournament ready. It's ready to go. This is the 6th time that the Northern Ireland Open has been held at Galgorm since 2013. It's also hosted the ISPS Handle World Invitational for men and women. So a lot of golf has been played here. It's supposed to be a pretty good golf course. I can't remember it. I can't remember anything about it. I'm sure we've seen some of it, but look forward to seeing a little bit of European Tour this week, Carlos.
All right, now let's talk about the Corn Ferry Tour. It's back this week after the U.S. Open. It returns to one of the most storied events on the schedule. It was moved from June due to the COVID-19, and that is the Wichita Open, supporting Wichita's youth, which is the third to last event on the schedule during the 2020 part of the wraparound season. Now, this event is one of the 4 that remains on the Corn Ferry Tour that from the original schedule in 1990. They played it annually at Crestview Country Club since 2001. There will be no spectators outside due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. So look out for Davis Riley, Will Zalatoris' roommate. He has won already twice, and he's looking for that third win and an automatic promotion to the PGA Tour, something that Will Zalatoris could do as well if he would be back in the Korn Ferry Tour. Wesley Bryan was the last one to achieve this in 2016. The big hitting Canadian Taylor Pendrith, who really finished very well, T23 at the U.S. Open. He's going to be here. So is Lexi Thompson's brother Curtis, who recently won the Evans Scholar Invitational. And Fred, another young Korn Ferry Tour player I'm keeping my eye on is Brendan Wu. Already 3 top 10 finishes in just 6 events on the Korn Ferry Tour. He's making the best out of his short career there.
Yeah, familiar names you mentioned them. Jimmy Stanger, Brandon Wu, Ollie Scheiderhands, the only one you didn't mention, and Davis Riley. Those are the guys to watch this week. They've been dominating the Korn Ferry Tour, it seems like, ever since they came back. So those are the guys I got my eye on, Carlos.
Definitely. And now, tell us a little bit about Boyne.
Hey, Carlos, they just came out with their 2021 stay and play pricing, and it's pretty good. You got packages starting at only $108 a day. That's including lodging and your round of golf. So you've got all kinds of different options from 108 up to about $130 for you play 18 holes, have your place to stay, numerous resort activities in addition. It's only 45 minutes away from Mackinac Island if you want to play in the morning and take an afternoon trip over to Mackinac. A lot of stuff to do up there. So go to boynegolf.com, boyne.com/golf. Check out the new pricing for 2021. And oh yeah, there's a lot of golf yet to be played this fall up there. It's still nice, clear into the middle or late October up there. So let's get up there and still play some golf, Carlos.
All right, and now let's talk about the par 5 news. We had the Bryson DeChambeau story as one part of it, and we already covered it on the U.S. Open, but we still have 4 more to talk to you. And the first one, the headliner, has to be something that I know Fred is really suffering about, and it's something that it's deep in his heart that Michael Davis is leaving the USGA. Though, hey, it's not going to be immediately, Fred, or even this year. The USGA announced on Tuesday that Mike will be stepping down as CEO at the end of next year, 2021. And he's going to pursue a new venture with Tom Fazio in golf course design and construction. That's a transition that has been in the works for some time. So he says that's his passion. He's going to go out there for pursuing a passion of his. So in the months following his departure from the USGA, he plans to spend time with Gil Hands and Bill Coore on some of their current projects. His new firm will be called Fazio and Davis Golf Design, LLC. So, Fred, there's plenty of work left to be done over the next 15 months. But how about Mike Davis and stepping down now as CEO from the USGA?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of touch on this lightly, Carlos, because I think we're going to make this the topic, the practice range topic for next week, talking about his legacy and what Mike Davis, what we'll remember about him as the USGA president. But he's been at the USGA for 30 years. You mentioned he's going to start this new partnership with Tom Fazio. It's called Fazio and Davis Golf Design. And as you know, when he came up, he early on in 2006, he became the setup guy for all the USGA championships. And he was the guy that would go in and get the golf course ready. He'd start 2 and 3 years in advance and do the things that they wanted to have that golf course ready for: the junior amateur, the women's open, the US Open, all the USGA championships. So he came up through that. He was very good at it. And then somewhere along the line, he just went overboard. He went like crazy. He just kept trying to outdo himself, and he just went too far. But anyhow, you know, it was Davis who introduced the graduated rough. He also liked finding a drivable par four to add a short par four in there. He liked to tweak the layouts to provide a proper US Open test, whatever that is. A psychological test like no other, as Kieran would put it, right? He also was involved in the anchoring rule. He was involved in the new rules that came out in 2016. There's been controversies under his leadership. And he was also involved in the Fox TV agreement, which has since switched to NBC. So Mike Davis oversaw a lot of stuff at USGA in his time there. And we can go clear back to when he got the job, and Pete Bavacqua, you know, they kind of were competing for it, and he got the job over Pete, and Pete bailed and went to PGA, and now has since ended up at NBC. But he goes back a long ways, and a lot has happened under his leadership. And we may just have to break that down a little bit more in detail next week, Carlos.
We certainly will. I mean, it's a long historic career, so we don't want to just go over it right now. It really takes a lot to talk about him. So definitely, I'll leave it there for now. So we'll talk about him pretty soon. But anyway, we got to say that the surprises everywhere. DJ was voted PGA Tour Player of the Year 2020 by his peers. It's the second time he has won the accolade after also winning it in 2016. And of course, you know, he lifted the FedEx Cup for the first time this year and also won the Travelers Championship and the Northern Trust. He had 7 top 10s, 3 wins, and 2 runner-up finishes, PGA Championship, BMW Championship, and he also made 11 cuts and 14 starts, and he's currently ranked #1 in the world. Now, the one that beat me, that was Scottie Scheffler, because, you know, I had picked Victor Hovland, so that's why I'm still losing it. I'm losing some touch on this prediction. But Scottie Scheffler definitely, he has continued what he left doing in the Korn Ferry Tour. And he was, because of that, he won the title of being named the Korn Ferry Tour Rookie of the Year. He won it in 2019, and now he's the Rookie of the Year here on the PGA Tour this year. He finished 5th in the FedEx Cup. He was T4th at the PGA Championship. Becomes the 2nd consecutive player to win both the Korn Ferry and the PGA Tour Rookie of the Year awards back-to-back, because Sungjae Im did it last year. So, I mean, congratulations to him. He did exactly what he was continuing to do, and he's a rising star. And that definitely is an accolade that I think, and I'm going to go out on a limb right now, Will Zalatoris will win it next year because he's going to follow that. So that's my pick for next year.
I like that prediction. I like that. That is a good one. You know, the way Dustin Johnson ended the year during the FedEx Cup playoffs, the PGA Championship, phenomenal stuff there. You know, and the battles that he and John Rahm had, really good stuff. As you know, Justin Thomas was named the PGA Player of the Year, and that was on a points-based thing. But Dustin won the FedEx Cup. He won one of the playoff events. Plus, he was runner-up at another one. He was runner-up at the PGA Championship. He won the Travelers earlier in the season. He went through a tough stretch there in the middle of the season when he shot a couple of 80s and his back was bothering him, but he was able to get that back, and he really had the best year on the PGA Tour. I don't know how you could choose anybody else as the PGA Tour Player of the Year. Scottie Scheffler really had a great last part of the year. After they came back, he really not turned up his game. You know, we saw him play really well last year on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he was able to carry that momentum right into this year and really had a fantastic year on the PGA Tour. So congrats to both these guys, Dustin Johnson, Scottie Scheffler. Well-deserved, both of these awards. You just can't question them. They're the guys that should have won it.
Totally agree. Definitely agree. Even Victor Hovland, my pick, admitted it, that Scottie should have won it. So I have to admit it too. Anyway, let's talk about the golf sales. Again, I mentioned a little while ago about how golf is booming, right? This is I think the pandemic did something to help out because, of course, we've been saying there's no better sport to socially distance yourself and still play and have a good time than golf. There's absolutely, maybe tennis is the other one, but that it's been helping. I mean, I talked about the whole and the Europe side. How many players have reached memberships of over 20,000 since May, only in England. I don't have the number. Maybe Kieran can help us to let us know. But sales also have been booming. And Fred, I think you have some numbers for us about how sales have been so good lately since in August.
Yeah, we talked about how great the sales were in July, which they were record setting in July, and they're even greater in August. You've got the U.S. retail golf equipment sales for August were up nearly 32% over the same time frame of 2019. And that's the highest since 2006, which was a 15%. So more than double that is what we saw in August of 2020. In total, it was $331 million compared to August of last year, which was 250. So up an additional $80 million across the country. It's just phenomenal stuff, Carlos, that we're seeing here. And looking at a chart, as you go across, if you start back September of last year, so if you go for a full calendar year, the sales were hovering around 10% increase from September, October, November, December, January of last year into this year. And in February and March, during the height of the corona, they were down 38%, down 69%, and then down 24% for May. But then in June, they started going up, and we just pretty much flip-flop from what happened in March, April, and June. June, July, and August were just a complete flip-flop, and the sales have been just unbelievable with total golf equipment sales. And as we know, that combined with more rounds being played, I think total rounds in the United States is up like something like 3 million. And that's with it's up 10 million. And that's with it being down 3 million after March. So tremendous amounts of golf being played, tremendous amounts of interest in golf equipment, golf apparel, anything golf related. So the golf business is as strong right now as I've ever seen it. Well, back in the 80s, maybe it was pretty good, but since 2010, it's the best it's been since 2009, 2010, Carlos, for sure.
Now, I have a question for you because this was posted to me, and it's a devil's advocate question, right? I was talking about this subject, and this person tells me, yeah, they're just buying the things that were not bought during the lockdown. So it's like an aggregate, what he was saying, okay? So he says, okay, so if I was going to buy 10, just to put a number, 10 in March, 10 in April, 10 in May, things started to pick up in June. So in July, I started to pick up those 30 I should have been. And that's why we're seeing it right now. What would you say to that? I'll let you know what I answer, but what would you say to somebody that tells you that? Because he's skeptical that really golf is booming that way.
Well, I think he might be a little bit right there. There was some delayed buying, and I think people were a little apprehensive. They didn't know what to do in March and April, right? Everything was so bad that nobody was spending money on anything. We weren't even venturing out of our houses. We weren't allowed to. We had to stay home. We couldn't do anything. But once we were allowed, once golf courses started opening up and people were able to get outside, that's when things boomed. And yes, there were some stuff that would have been bought in March and April that was bought in June and July. But the number that we're seeing is so massive, so much bigger, that it's like double what that number would have been. I mean, we would have seen in March and April, we would have seen maybe 9 or 10% increase in sales. We saw 53% increase in sales, right? In July. So it's just, it's way more than it's 4 and 5 times what it would have been, even though it's a little bit of a delayed purchase.
Totally agree, and that was my point. Is that yes, you can have those 30 that you were not buying, Adam, but the difference is the numbers just are just too huge. So it has really impacted the yes. I forgot to buy maybe during March through May, and I'm buying now, but there's still that and more above that. So yes, even if you take that away from the amount that if you take that into consideration, still golf would have been above the average purchases right now.
One more point, Carlos, before we get away from this, and on a microeconomic level, from my perspective, in golf lessons, okay? Normally in this part of the world, once Labor Day hits, golf lesson business goes in a tank. You've got some packages that people have and they want to get in their last lesson of the package they bought in September. But instead of doing maybe like 10 lessons a week through the heat that you're doing like through June, July, and August, in September, you're lucky to do maybe 10 or 12 for the month, right? Well, I've got 3 new people that just signed up packages that want to get them in yet this year, just signed them up within the last couple of weeks. So that just like never happens until Christmas or after Thanksgiving when people are buying Christmas presents, buying gift certificates. So it's across the board. It's at every level that people are playing more. There's more interest in the game. They say, I see my friends out there playing and they're out there doing something. I want to go play with them, and I'm afraid because I need to have some lessons. I need to know what I'm doing. So there's more interest in playing golf right now than I have ever seen.
Totally agree. Now, the experiments continue. We're starting to see tournaments loosening up and starting to allow a limited number of spectators, but we have not seen it in Europe. And a limited number of spectators will be allowed to attend next month's Scottish Open at the Renaissance, and that was because the European Tour announced that. Now, this event was rescheduled from its usual July date to October 1st to the 4th as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. But it will be allowed to welcome 650 spectators per day. That doesn't sound much on Saturday and Sunday, in addition to players, caddies, limited media, and essential personnel. It's going to be a controlled return of a strictly limited number of spectators, but it follows the European Tour's policy of playing events behind closed doors since the full resumption of the season in August. Now, it sees the Aberdeen Standard Investment Scottish Open now joining a series of pilot sporting events and cultural events that are being considered in Scotland to help support the return of fans when it's safe to do so. So, Fred, it's going to be 650 spectators per day on the weekend. Will be limited to the daily general access ticket holders from Edinburgh and Lothians. So all the previous purchases have been contacted and said, hey, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. We're going to refund you. But at least, we're starting to see, even in those places that we thought it was going to take longer to accept, they're opening up. And this is maybe, what happened, in the NFL that we're seeing, the people are starting to go out and everything is starting to, loosen up because the people are really know what to do once they are out right now.
650 people on a 300-acre golf course. I don't think they'll have any problem maintaining 6-foot separation, right? Should be no problem with social distancing with that. I think they could up that number just a little bit. But that being said, they're going to have like an inner bubble and an outer bubble. So you're going to have the players and the caddies and the staff all in this inner bubble, and they're going to keep the fans separated into other areas so that the two don't mix. So they've got this all thought out. They got it all figured out. And so they're going to still be doing a lot of testing and all that kind of thing. But at least they're getting some fans back on the golf course, Carlos.
That's what we've been waiting for. Finally is here and happening. So we'll see. I mean, we have to keep looking at this. Like they're saying, this is a pilot work that they're doing. So we'll see how it works, but it's definitely encouraging to see that things are starting to resemble some sort of normality. Yeah,
Can't go
650.
back. Can't
We're
go
gonna get
fast
loose.
enough. Can't go fast enough to suit me, Carlos.
Yeah, 650 will get loose in that big campus there. But hey, at least we'll see somebody new there. And with that, we wrap up our Par 5 news. And now we're going to go to our VIG, very important guest of the week. His name is Phil Wurz. He's the president and CEO of Pinehurst, Southern Pines, and Aberdeen CBB. And he's talking to Fred about the recent announcement of 4 more U.S. Opens that were awarded to Pinehurst, plus Golf House Pinehurst, and the USGA Testing Center. So, Fred, you interviewed him. Let us know a little bit about this interview.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Par 5 news last week that the USGA awarded Pinehurst more U.S. Opens. There's also going to be more U.S. Junior Amateurs. There's going to be more U.S. Amateurs. There's going to be more U.S. Women's Amateurs at Pinehurst. They haven't been announced yet, but they're going to be all that stuff there. Pinehurst is going to become a hub for USGA championships. And in addition to that, they're doing a new golf house, which is their museum and storehouse for all their information, all that kind of thing there, which will be a great place for that. I've long said that Pinehurst is like the holy cathedral of golf in America, right? It's just, when you're there, there's an aura about it. There's a feeling, and it's all golf. There's nothing else. Matter of fact, my wife doesn't even like to go there because there's really nothing else there but golf, okay? And I love it. I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. And I thought this was phenomenal news. And so Phil is a good friend, and I had him come on, and we talked a little bit about it here in this Zoom call, Carlos. We're happy to have Phil Wurz from the Pinehurst, Southern Pines, Aberdeen Convention Bureau. He's the president and CEO down there. Phil, welcome to Back Nine Report.
Hey, Fred. Great to see you again. How you been?
Well, we've been fantastic. Fall's starting to set in up here, so we're thinking about maybe heading down south somewhere to some warmer climates, play a little golf. Pinehurst a good place to go right now?
Man, it's fabulous. It's always been a great place, and it's always a beautiful day in Pinehurst. But with the recent announcement, the USGA moving their second headquarters here, it's a dream come true. And when it comes to tourism, which is our specialty here with the Tourism Bureau, it is manna from heaven. It really is. And to have that relationship with the USGA and so close to this Pinehurst community, it really is fantastic. And it's a great benefit not only for this destination, but for the entire state of North Carolina.
Yeah, of course, you're talking about the recent announcement by the USGA to move some operations there. They're going to have a golf house. They're going to have a testing center. They also announced 4 more U.S. Opens for the Pinehurst area.
Right.
What's the golf house Pinehurst? What's that going to entail?
Well, basically, if you're familiar with Golf House that they have up in New Jersey, it's essentially the same thing. It'll be a different design. I know at the public hearing the day before the announcement, somebody had mentioned what would this look like. So they will make it very much, if you come to Pinehurst, very much looks like a New England style village. We've not seen the designs or anything like that. We do have an idea of where that building is going to be located. It'll actually be 2 buildings. Golf House Pinehurst is what they're going to call it, which would be administration and a museum. And then there'll be a media center besides that. So, and actually the media center will serve as a community or space for meetings, conventions, things like that, almost like the Fair Barn, if you're familiar with the Pinehurst area, right off of very nearby we're at the horse track, right next to the maintenance facility by the Pinehurst golf courses 1 through 6. So those are going to be located, just if you're familiar with where you get to the clubhouse, in between the Carolina Hotel, there's a roundabout. Just as you go into that clubhouse, that road on the right, there's some land there, so they're going to use that area there. It will be their second headquarters, but it'll also be the anchor, their headquarters for future U.S. Opens, not just the ones here in Pinehurst. It will be their operations center for the U.S. Open, for every U.S. Open for the future.
And I think they're going to add about 50 staff. Is that about right?
That's correct. They already have about 15 of those have relocated from New Jersey. What a great opportunity to be able to move from New Jersey, where it's cold and a little rainy sometimes, to come to the home of American golf and locate here. So I know they're looking forward to it. I know even Mike Davis at the press conference said, they're back home. And so it's really great because, when you go back and look through time, the original president of the USGA was Richard Tufts, who is the son of the gentleman, James Walker Tufts, who put a stake in the ground here in 1895 and built that beautiful resort. And celebrating the 125th anniversary, as is the USGA. So a lot of synergy there, and it's been a relationship long before the first US Open came here in 1999. The relationship with Pinehurst and the USGA goes back decades.
You know, I made a comment on our radio show a couple of weeks ago after the U.S. Amateur was held out at Bandon Dunes. And I said, you know what? All future U.S. Opens should be held at just two places. One, Pinehurst on number 4 and number 2, and at Bandon Dunes, that's all you need. Maybe if you want to slip down to Pinehurst once every 10 years or something. But I think those two properties, with the variety of golf that you have, the abundance of facilities and great just amenities and everything combined, those are two perfect examples. And adding 4 more U.S. Opens to Pinehurst, that's fantastic.
Yeah, what's really cool, Fred, is that not only did they add 4 more U.S. Opens, you mentioned the U.S. Amateur, they haven't even announced, and they plan to do that in the future. I don't know when, but I'm sure it'll come through time. Obviously, will be additional Women's Opens, which we have the next one here at Pine Needles Lodge and Golf Club in 2022. So they're going to name more Women's Opens for this area, as well as U.S. Amateurs and Senior Opens. And maybe another junior amateur, which is that one's going to be held next year, 2021, at Country Club of North Carolina. So, you know, what's great about this too is that this community, this community is built on golf. We are the home of American golf. It's our DNA. It's what we do best. So this community has embraced this announcement. They look forward to it. We are going to grow this destination. That is going to be one of the things that's going to happen with this announcement, and not just for golf, but we're talking healthcare, which is the largest employer in the county, Moore County. First Health has a huge facility here. They're building a huge cancer center, additional facilities, but also it's going to help local restaurants, retail, tourism, obviously. So there's a ripple effect on this, and it has a huge economic impact, not only on this area, but the entire state.
One other piece of this announcement was the announcement of a equipment standards facility and an innovation center. Explain a little bit about what all that entails.
Yeah, from what I understand, they have a testing center. They're basically moving that down here. So essentially every golf club and every golf ball that you strike and use will have been tested in Pinehurst, North Carolina before it goes out into the market. So great research opportunity for the USGA to move that here. It's kind of interesting too, because we're trying to grow a golf cluster of golf businesses here, almost like a Carlsbad East. And Pat Corso, who's the head of our economic development team with an organization called Partners in Progress, he's working hard and has already talked to a number of people in the golf industry about potentially relocating their golf business here or starting their golf business in the Pinehurst, Southern Pines, Aberdeen area, even in the Carthage area, which is our county seat, is right smack in the middle of the county. So we see that happening here. There's a lot of energy here. Even Jamie Ledford, who's the president of Golf Pride, they moved their global innovation headquarters here. And so all the Golf Pride grips that you use are all designed and innovated right here in Pinehurst, North Carolina, and then designed elsewhere. But they're building a testing center as well, where you go get club fitted, you go get fitting for ball. You'll be able to go to Golf Pride's Global Innovation Center and get fitted for your grip. And they're right there at the entrance of Pinehurst number 8. So they'll be able to pull people right off the driving range of Pinehurst number 8 and say, hey, test out this grip. Let's see what it looks like. I think that's going to drive a lot of people here. And again, it's a great opportunity. Even Jamie Ledford says, the vibe here in Pinehurst for business is outstanding. And we really truly believe this will become a East Coast Carlsbad, California.
Yeah, I love the way it's all coming together. It's one more step, all the growth of the Pinehurst area. I think this is fantastic. And if you're a golfer, you've got to go. I mean, I call it the high cathedral of golf in America at Pinehurst. I love it down there. Hey, one more thing before I let you go. My love for Mid Pines and the Mid Pines family, the Bell family that has Mid Pines and, of course, Pine Needles across the road. They added Southern Pines a year or so ago. They've been doing some work, and it's kind of up and ready to go now, right?
Yeah, actually, they just purchased that a couple of months ago, Fred. And so Kelly Miller, who's the main impetus behind that, the president of Pine Needles and Mid Pines, adding that third course, which is it's a classic Donald Ross design. So all 3 of their courses are Donald Ross. In fact, the Southern Pines Golf Club is one of the first ones Donald Ross built when he came here to the Pinehurst area. It is just, I wouldn't say it's gone into disrepair. It was owned by the Elks Club before that. And even they admit they're not golf golf operators. So they run an Elks Club, but they had a golf course. And so I think with Kelly Miller and his team being able to purchase that and give it some really good TLC, it's rumored to believe that Kyle France, who redesigned Pine Needles a few years ago, he's actually doing Raleigh Country Club right now. He may get tapped to do the redesign there just because he already has a close relationship with Kelly Miller and that team. That'll be announced probably in the next couple of months once Kyle finishes up in Raleigh. But for him to redesign that course with the great bones that Ross course has, if you're looking at a triumvirate of courses owned by a single group, you look at Pinehurst number 2, number 4, number 8, and you look at Southern Pines Golf Club, Pine Needles, and Mid Pines, and those are two pretty stout threesomes, and be interesting to see how people pit them one against the other as the best 3 courses by one ownership in this area.
For my money, you can't go wrong. I got to play Southern Pines a few years ago, and like you said, it just needs some tender love and care. The course is fantastic. There's a lot of potential there. They get that cleaned up and renovate it just a little bit, bring it up to date. That's going to be great. And Mid Pines, it's one of my favorite golf courses anywhere. So you can't beat that trio. And then the Mid Pines Inn, you throw that in there yet. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at 38 courses and within a 15-mile radius, and outside of that, you've got Tullamore at Mid-South, Legacy, Tobacco Road, a great Mike Strand golf course. There's a ton of great golf here for all price ranges, and if you go to homeofgolf.com, you can read all about it.
Phil, thanks as always coming on, chatting with us a little bit. As always, Pinehurst is open for business, and you guys are taking all the safety precautions, and you're ready to welcome people down there.
We sure are. We've been open throughout the pandemic, and this place is rocking and rolling. We're ready to welcome the entire world to the home of American golf.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Thanks, Fred. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
There you have it, Fred. A little bit more about that interview.
Well, he mentioned 2, 4, and 8. Those are the 3 championship golf courses at Pinehurst. Of course, everybody knows about 2. That's where all the U.S. Opens are played. Number 4 was the recent Gil Hanse renovation. Is fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. I like it better than number 2. For the average golfer to play, number 4 is much more fun to play than number 2. And number 8, I've never had the chance to play that yet. I'm going to remedy that. Hopefully, maybe this fall we may go down there. But then the 3 courses of Mid Pines, Pine Needles, and Southern Pines. Southern Pines it's not been taken care of over the last 20 years, and it really needs to be updated and cleaned up. And I know that the Bell family will get that done. But Mid Pines is as good a Donald Ross golf course as you'll ever play. And Pine Needles, there's been, I think, 4 or 5 U.S. Women's Opens there now. It's a lot of fun to play. And either Pine Needles Inn on one side of the street or the Mid Pines Inn on the other side of the street. Great history there, great places to be. I can't say enough about them, Carlos. And if somebody's looking to do a golf getaway, and I know from here, like in Ohio or Michigan or Indiana or Pennsylvania, up in my part of the world up here, I can be down to Pinehurst in about, driving it, I can be down there in about 14 hours, something like that. Even faster now, about 11, 12 hours I can be down there from here, from Toledo. So you can, if you want to fly, you can fly in down there. It's an easy drive back over to it. So it's just it's so clean. It's a beautiful place to be.
All right, but now let's go to the practice range. Every week, Fred and I pick a topic, and each one of us takes our own shots at it. But this week, we're going to talk, fall is approaching, and there's this golf destinations that you should go for because, of course, things are going to get cold. So you want to try to find warm weather to try to go and find where to play. You're not going to stay hibernating like a bear and not playing. You got to find somewhere to go. And Fred, we're going to be talking about what's happening so far with traveling, how people are taking out, and some places recommended for them. So take the lead on it.
Well, the effect of COVID, as we talked about earlier in the show, has been very bullish for most of the golf industry. Rounds played, equipment purchased, more golfers heading to the golf course. But for golf travel, the picture has been much different. People don't want to fly. As you can see from this chart that we're putting up right here, golf travel, U.S. travel throughout, look at golf travel. It drops down here in April, and it's just on that lower line. It's really slow coming back. You know, people for years were not afraid to jump on a plane and go to coastal Carolina, go to South Alabama, go to wherever to play, Arizona. And right now, if people are going someplace, they want to jump in their car and drive somewhere. So we've got Alabama, the RTJ Golf Trail. You've got Myrtle Beach. We've got great golf in Georgia. We've got the Georgia Golf Trail. We've got Reynolds Lake Oconee. I mean, from here, we can drive 8-10 hours and have some great golf resorts, Carlos. And so even though you may be reluctant to fly, you can still travel to play some golf. These resorts are all taking precautions. They've got all the safety protocols in place to keep you safe and make your visit enjoyable, Carlos.
Definitely, and there's some hidden gems that you can also go. Not this big fame names. I'm going to give you two that are here in the continental U.S. And whenever you feel like flying, then I'm going to give you my top one. And everybody knows that listens to us and knows which one it is. But anyway, you know, I'm going to tell you that if you go to Florida, you go to Boca Grande, there's the Gasparilla Inn and Club, okay? Yeah, sometimes being a small fish in a big pond can be a bad thing, right? But this golf club is a little lesser known than those big titans in Miami, Orlando, West Palm, but it holds its own. So if you were looking for a very nice hidden gem, go to the Gasparilla because it underwent a redesign by Pete Dye. You know, he of the ever-challenging TPC Sawgrass on the other side of the state in Ponte Vedra Beach. So, you know, that's a very nice course that you should go. Now, one that I recently saw on my trip around Texas, going to Port Aransas in Texas, let me tell you, there's a very nice one, Palmilla Beach Golf Club, okay? Port Aransas is the island that is down in Texas in Corpus Christi. And let me tell you, I'm not gonna lie, there's nothing better than loading your clubs and heading to the nearest ocean for a round on the formidable links, right? Course, frustrating, yeah, at times. Beautiful is gonna be always, and that's what Palmilla Beach, a links course. If you want to play some links course, is right just a few miles away from Corpus Christi. You just cross the bridge, go there to Port Aransas, and it used to be called Newport Dunes. So it's a course that was designed by Arnold Palmer. Okay, it was about 10 years ago. Really nice, good pricing for it. It's a par 71. It's not that long. It's about 6,900 yards. So that's if you are gonna go stay here in the continental US. Now, if you want to fly, of course, the guys in the PGA Tour are going to be playing in the Punta Cana golf club, the Corales Golf Club, but the best one. Even golf.com ranks it as the #1 golf club in the whole Caribbean. And it's number 43 in the top 100 golf courses by Golf Magazine. And that is the Teeth of the Dog. Okay, it's a Pete Dye Classic. Again, another Pete Dye. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a masochist or something. That's why I like those type of courses. But anyway, that course is amazing. It has all the beauty with the ocean. Maybe because I come from an island, I enjoy that much. But anyway, that course features those tricky shots, and it has this devilish dog leg and a signature Dye obstacles. If you like that challenge, then toss in those trade winds and courtesy of Mother Nature, and you're gonna be in for a treat. So that's my pick. If you wanna venture and take a trip, that would be it. But if not, if you're gonna drive, hey, look out, Florida, very warm, very nice, and in Texas, of course, you're gonna be warm and near the beach as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the driving tours for right now. If you want to take a flying trip and go someplace, I'll tell you what, down in Los Cabos, down in Mexico, there's some great places down there. And if you, I got a friend down there right now, and he's posting stuff on Facebook. Just makes me want to go back down there. I was down there just last December, and it just was fabulous. But Carlos, just where you could drive here in the United States for us, PGA Village down at Port St. Lucie, Florida, which is really just north of West Palm, about 40 minutes, south of Orlando, a couple hours south of Orlando. There's 4 golf courses there. They're really good golf courses. They do a great job, and it's owned by the PGA of America, and I love the golf courses there. So Innisbrook is at Tampa. They also have 4 courses, so a lot of variety there. They got very comfortable accommodations, great restaurants on property, but you're still in the Tampa area. So if you want to go outside the resort, there's all kinds of activities, great beaches up and down the Gulf of Mexico there as well. Another place that really impressed me was Hammock Beach, which is on the Atlantic side of Florida, just north of Daytona, about a half an hour, 20 minutes, something like that. They have 2 golf courses, one that's right on the Atlantic Ocean, and they have about a mile of golf course, really. I think there's 6 holes that are right on the beach. And then they have another golf course that's inland just a little bit. Really, really good stuff. Kind of high towers that you stay in, condos, and they look out over the ocean. It's really, really beautiful. If you want to go to the Orlando area, there's the Reunion Resort, which has 3 signature golf courses, one by Arnold Palmer, one by Tom Watson, and one by Jack Nicklaus, all top quality golf courses. And the amenities there, the accommodations, they are all top shelf. This one will cost you a little bit more. It's a little bit more expensive than maybe some of the others to stay at, but it's really, really nice. It's all enclosed. It's a gated area. It's gigantic, but everything is in there that you need. A lot of various dining options, and there's swimming. There's a water park for kids. There's biking. There's everything you can imagine is in there. It's really fabulous. And then one of my favorite places that I love to go that just got hit by a hurricane, coastal Alabama. Love it down there. Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, that whole area down there, or from Mobile all the way around Mobile Bay, Fairhope, all the way down there. It's great, great stuff. So I sent an email to my friend down there, Kay, who's at Gulf Shores. So I asked her some questions. I said, "Are you up and open?" And she replied, "Well, the power, water, and sewer are pretty much fully restored in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Some neighborhoods are still without power, and utility crews are making rapid progress. Grocery stores and gas stations are open. Still a lot of cleanup happening, especially along the Fort Morgan Peninsula, and that's where Kiva Dunes and Peninsula golf courses are located." Orange Beach had massive marina damage. There was more than 500 boats that were displaced, or that were sitting up on land, that were at one time moored in the water. There's 1,600 utility workers down there working to get everything back up and running. And then I also asked if the golf courses were playable. So she answered that Rock Creek hoped to open yesterday. Glen Lakes was going to open today. Timber Creek had 9 holes open and should be fully open by midweek. Peninsula is going to be 2 more weeks. Craft Farms is 4 weeks, which these are down at Gulf Shores. Kiva Dunes, 4 to 6 weeks, and Gulf Shores Golf Club, 4 to 6. So anything that was right down at Gulf Shores, right on the Gulf, is 4 to 6 weeks to reopen. So unfortunately, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, coastal Alabama is not the place to go right now, but I have to put it down as one of my winter destinations, or cold weather destinations. I like to go down there and be down there in the wintertime. It's really, really special. So, and that being said, Carlos, I've talked with several people that travel for a living. They say flying is as safe as it's ever been. They have no problems. They've flown, and they really had no problems. Yeah, you got to use a mask, but I mean, that's just the norm right now. We just got to face it as a fact of life. Hotels and resorts are doing everything they can to make the facilities safe for visitors. You should feel good about that. So just a couple other places I want to mention then on top of the ones that I gave my top 5. I love Reynolds Lake Oconee in Georgia. I like the Georgia Golf Trail has some great places, Jekyll Island especially. Pinehurst is always great. We talked about that earlier. Myrtle Beach. Branson is in southern Missouri, so it's not really in the south, but it's, you know, it's a longer season there. I'm sure you could play clear down into Thanksgiving down there. And now with the addition of Paynes Valley, it's quality golf there. And of course, the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail in Alabama is good stuff, Carlos. So there's a lot of options. If you want to know more, send Carlos and I an email. Let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, whatever, and we'll be happy to get you some information. But a lot of great golf out there, a lot of great resorts. They're open, they're ready, and they're safe.
Definitely. And with that, we'll wrap up our practice range. And now we'll go quickly into our final parting shots, our final putts. And we owed you the results of the Tiger Woods, the play there at Pine Valley. And it's funny, I've been following it here, found it. And Tiger and his TGR design firm, they designed this golf course, right? As one of the widest golf courses imaginable there at Big Cedar Lodge. Never mind, he missed the first fairway, Tiger, on his golf course. Opening day at Paynes Valley Cup. And you know what? He lost the ball. How would you do that? Tiger, what's going on? But hey, not to worry, it worked out fine for him and JT. They outlasted Rory and Justin. They were playing against each other, so it was Justin against Tiger and Rory against JT. So Tiger lost one. Justin rose one up over Tiger, but then JT beat Rory 2 up. So that made them even. So they had to play the 19th hole, and that was the shortest, closest to the hole. And it was great because also Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and Payne's son Aaron also played some tee shots. But it was JT, the one who beat them all with a close one to 9 feet to the hole, and that's how they won it. So interesting concept. And that's the result of what happened today at the first day in Paynes Valley Cup. And yeah, Tiger Woods on the big wide one lost at the fairway and lost the ball.
Well, Carlos, did you know that on number 6, they had a long drive competition? Tiger hit a 348, won the long drive with 348 yards on number 6.
So there you have it. There you have it. So any parting shots for it?
No, just check out Ohio Golf Journal, Michigan Golf Journal. Catch a Back Nine Report on YouTube, on Roku. We got all the news, information, golf that you could ever want. Check us out.
Well, Back Niners, that will wrap up another week of the Back Nine Report. Thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest on the world of golf. Special thanks to our VIG, very important guest of the week, Phil Worth. He's the president and CEO of Pinehurst, Southern Pines, and Aberdeen CVB. Don't forget to see us again next week on YouTube. Or if you missed it, hey, check the audio version on TuneIn. Now, if you haven't done so, hey, it's already time for you to follow the show on Twitter. Our ID is at Back9 Report with the number 9 in the middle. My name is Carlos Torres, along with Fred Altvater. We wish you to be happy, be blessed, and enjoy the great game of golf. Happy golfing, everybody.
We'll see you on the Back Nine.